talent every single time. Introducing the new BFGoodrich all-terrain KO3 tire. Legendary toughness made tougher. BFGoodrich, what are you building for?
All right, welcome everybody. We are here for the next Fishgistics show. Today we are talking about the 2025 Legacy Baja Nevada the Long Way. And we have Donald Jackson and Jason Cobb joining us here. We will get them, we'll get them unmuted and then we'll be good to go. And we are about to show you guys the race course for the first time today. How's it going, guys? How you doing, Donald?
I'm great. How you doing, Fish?
Good, really good. We're excited to see the longest continuous race in the U.S. Is that correct?
That's correct. So these events have happened a lot of years. All of them have been multi-days before. You know, the longest single day has been pushed up to like 600 miles in a single day. So we're breaking new ground here, going 1,035 miles, single day format. So it's a massive undertaking. We're so excited to bring this to you along with our partners with Vora in this event, and yeah, we're pumped with this one.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good one. It covers a lot of Nevada, and it's actually a good time of year to do it too, right? It's not too hot up there yet. It's not too cold. There's no snow. I mean, we were just looking at the map. You're gonna be going up to 8,000 feet at some of these spots. So, I mean, for part of the year,
Right.
there's snow up there, right?
Yeah, for sure. That's some of the challenges we have to work with is that snow elevation, and then during monsoon season later in the year and even into the fall where all those lake beds get filled with water and stuff. So it is a good time. It will be warm. We won't lie about that, but it's not unbearably hot all day long. It's cool in the morning and cool in the evenings.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Jason, you're a racer. What do you think? Is this the type of race that's going to be one everyone's going to want to do, or what? You think it's going to be exciting?
Yeah, super excited. This is the kind of a deal that we're really looking to challenge ourselves. And, sometimes, at 400 miles, 500 miles, some of these guys are just getting into their groove, right? So, and it really doesn't play well to the team aspect. And I love the fact that this 1,000-mile race is going to give us the opportunity to really see what our team is all about. Did our strategy pay off? Were we too patient? Were we not patient enough? That kind of deal that plays out normally in other races, and we're going to see it right here in the United States in one day, and it's going to be tough. It's going to challenge us all. Last year's Baja Nevada was a monster. It was great. I loved it. It was super technical, super tight. It was the kind of thing that allows you to challenge yourself. And this year, Donald stepped it up even more. And I don't know if he's mad at us racers or he loves us racers, but one of the two, we got something special coming.
Awesome. Well, you always want to have a little bit of both, right? You don't want it to be too easy because then everyone's like, oh, it's too easy. And then you don't want it to be too hard because if you make it too hard and not too many people finish, then it's not too much fun, right? So you kind of got to find a balance in the middle there. Is that pretty
Yeah,
hard to do
exactly.
sometimes?
Just the mileage itself is going to be a challenge. But now, if you've never done a Baja Nevada or if you've never done a legacy race, I'll tell you right now, for those of us out there that haven't done these things, Donald Jackson does not put up with straight. He doesn't like it. He likes corners. He likes technical. He likes to challenge us, and it's not the same race course that some of these guys have put on in the past out in this same area. Sure, there's only so much land available, and we're going to get on some of those trails. But he does his due diligence, and that's the one thing we do love about Legacy, and why Trophy Light is such a big part of Legacy is the fact that you actually have to let off that throttle pedal once in a while to make that corner and to do those things that sometimes Nevada isn't synonymous with. And Donald somehow finds those trails. So you're right. It's going to be challenging.
Yeah, awesome. Right on. Well, Donald, we can get in and start telling everybody when this thing is. If people don't know when it is, obviously a lot are already signed up. You have over 100 entries. It looked like you got, what is that, 111 on the list there?
Yeah, updated today up to 111. So we're pumped, and a lot of that, we got 39 bikes and quads and the three wheelers. So that's a good turnout for those guys as well, and we're glad to have those guys joining us.
Yeah, awesome. Well, it should be really good. Let me bring up the schedule here, and we can just show everybody that real quick. So let's see. Here's the schedule here. Can you guys see that okay on your screen?
Yeah, that's good.
All right. So it starts off with Wednesday, June 25th, and you have qualifying. Now it says qualifying for unlimited trucks, Class 1 and Class 6100 is going to be at 4 p.m. Is the location of that top secret, or is that something you want to tell everybody now, or how's that work?
Yeah, we won't release that until they actually sign up at registration on Wednesday. They'll get a map out to the qualifying location. And something that we do different from a lot of the other series is all three of those classes will be intermixed. So they'll start on their corrected time, not by class, but by how they finish in qualifying.
That was going to be my next question was are they mixed still? Yeah. So if a class 6100, for example, a spec or spec TT, whatever you want to call it, if one of them qualifies first, they will actually be the first car off the line, right?
That's correct. Yep. We start you off of how you did in qualifying.
All right. And then the unlimited trucks is all-wheel drive, two-wheel drive. It's all together in one class, right?
Yeah, they're not separated. It's all one class.
All right, cool. I like that. All right. Well, very good. So Wednesday, June 25th is going to be your first day of qualifying. And then on Thursday, you see that's registration is going to open at 8. And then it's at the Pahrump Nugget, it looks like. That's where everything's based out of.
Yep. The Pahrump Nugget is our host hotel there. So we'll work everything out of there on Thursday. There's a place behind the Nugget where everybody unload, and then they drive their race vehicles around over to the old Gold Town where they do the tech contingency, and then back to the parking lot. And then they, in that process, they go inside the Nugget there and do the registration and get all signed up and all the forms and everything.
Perfect. All right. And then it says mandatory meetings. So everybody has to go to these meetings. And I like that you did it kind of during the day and not like 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. the night before the race, because sometimes that gets a little late, right?
Yeah. So obviously when we scroll down, we'll see why. But yeah, we wanted to make sure that we gave everybody plenty of time to get all their stuff situated for the following day. It's going to be a long race. And so we want to do it in the middle of the day there. It is going to start to warm up around that 1 p.m. So we wanted to get the tech contingency all handled, Fan Fest, come see all the vendors, all that type of stuff squared away, and then go into the meetings, separate them so we can talk specifically to the bike and quad community, or the handlebars, if you will, is the best way to describe it, and then jump over to the steering wheel community for later on and talk specifics on each of their routes and different things that happen with them.
Perfect. All right. So
So
then
if I could add something on that real quick, Fish.
Yeah, go.
One of the things that we volunteer a lot of our time to help with the parking and that kind of thing. And we have people on site to help you know where to park. So as you approach the Pahrump Nugget, there will be an easy up at the front gate. We are hoping that you guys will park any and all trailers and everything behind where Donald was saying in the open lot, back behind the grocery store and behind the casino. If we get so many people that are like, I just want to come in and register real quick, or I just need to do this. If you do that, please don't bring the whole team. Don't bring the whole rig. Come in one of your chase trucks and come over to registration and park there. We really have to keep that front lot clear. That's our agreement with the casino, and help us out with that. And the one thing that normally happens is the driver's aware of it, but the rest of the team's not. Drivers, please let your teams know that they are not supposed to be parking in that front lot. Legacy has done a fantastic job to come up with a place for everybody to park their oversized vehicles and stuff and have them all in one area. They even have, security and stuff out there. So they have a plan, but please let your teams know to follow that plan.
Perfect. All right. Yeah, that's good information for everybody to know where to park. Yeah, I think most of you racers have probably been to Pahrump by now, but if you haven't, it's not the same as Vegas. It's not like a big, massive, huge hotel with a massive parking lot like the South Point or something, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we have a lot more limited space than that, and we got to make sure we can accommodate the Nuggets guests, that are their loyal guests that come day in and day out, and just making sure, like Jason said, keeping those parking lots open, and so we're welcome back year after year.
Perfect. All right. Well, that makes sense. So that'll all be going on Thursday. Now, on Friday, the race actually starts on Friday. So bright and early, it looks like 3 a.m. start time for motorcycles and quads.
Yep. Early morning start. So race day brought to you by Brenthal Race Trucks, sponsor of the series, the Legacy Racing Series. So 3 a.m. First bike off the line. It will be dark, so they will need headlights. Again, the reason for the early morning start is to try and give as big a time gap between the car and truck UTV community as we possibly can for those handlebars.
Perfect. Yeah, it's always good to get them out, and hopefully, obviously some of them are going to get caught, but the least amount of them that get caught is always better for everyone for safety reasons. So I know the car and truck guys appreciate the big gap as well. So
right. Yep. Yeah. and to expand on that a little bit, we really wanted to go earlier, but the problem is, and when we get in the map, we'll be able to discuss a little more, but I want to bring it up now while we're talking about it, is that the return loop around race mile 850, it starts coming backwards on itself. So we have to allow enough time for all the car, truck, UTVs to get through that section before the first bike comes backwards, so we don't have a head-on collision. So that's why they start at 3, and then you scroll down a little bit and you'll see that the car, trucks, and UTVs start at 8:30.
Yeah, okay. So perfect. So it says there's an escort to the start at 7:50. I don't see that for the bike. So that's just for the four-wheel vehicles need to line up at 7:50 for that?
Correct. The bikes and quads will start, and three-wheelers will start at or line up at the start line. That's where the staging area is. And then we'll do an escort from the hotel for all the car, truck, UTVs. And the police escort there always brought to you by Workco BC Transport. So they're helping put that together and get us out to the start line for the 8:30 start for cars and trucks.
Awesome. All right. So then it looks like the next thing we have on here, the expected finishers or the approximate finish time. You're thinking that the first motorcycle will probably be done around 8 p.m. And then it looks like you're thinking the first car truck will be done right before midnight, basically the same day.
Yeah, same day. The bike's probably going to finish a little bit earlier than that. But that's kind of what they expected. But it might be closer to the 7 o'clock than the 8 o'clock. So I think we'll see our first bike before it gets dark, before the sun sets.
Okay. And then they have for the motorcycles, quads, and three-wheelers, they have a 31.5-hour official start time, or that's your total time you can take, right?
Correct. Yeah. So to break that out a little bit, lots of times you get more timing for the fastest vehicle on the course, and you get the least amount of timing for the slowest vehicle. So if it takes like an hour and a half to start everybody, that last vehicle off the line is already an hour and a half down on the total time on the course. So what we're going to do is give you that total time, like you just mentioned, 31.5 hours for the handlebars and 36 hours for the steering wheels. That's from your start time. So once everybody's taken off the start line, like all the handlebars leave, we're going to post your official start time. If you started at 3:01 and Jason, you started at 3:05, then we're going to post that time online on social media and everything, so you can see that time, so you know exactly at 31.5 hours if Jason started at 3:05 a.m. Going off of math, just super quick here, he's got 31.5 hours to finish, so that's somewhere around like 4:35 a.m. on Saturday. Just a rough number off the top of my head, but gives you an idea what we're talking about.
Yeah, perfect. So if you start at noon on one day, you're going to have until midnight on the other day, basically.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. I'll go with the 12 because 12 is easier.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the car truck UTV is a lot easier because that 36 makes more sense.
Yeah. All right. Well, perfect. That explains that to everybody. So good to know on there. Now, what is the total mileage actually? I didn't see that on here yet. What is the total mileage?
Yeah, so the handlebars will do 908 miles total, and the steering wheels will do 1,035.
Okay, cool. So yeah, and that's not kilometers, that's miles.
That's miles. Yeah, we're not cheating you. We're not
All
saying
right.
it's 1,000 miles, but then we switch to kilometers. It's true USA miles. So that is right there at the longest event. I think even that some of the Baja races do when you look at the miles for the bikes and quads and the cars and trucks.
Yeah, no, it's going to be good. I mean, the point-to-point races are usually around 1,200-ish to maybe 13 the most, but the loop is usually like 900 to 1,000. So yeah, this is right up there with any of the longest races that there are in off-road racing, really. So that's cool. Yeah, it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, and there's some debate: is this a point-to-point or a loop race? Right? It doesn't start in the exact same location, and it doesn't finish in the exact same location it started, but it loops back to the same area within 15 miles. So we're considering a point-to-point race and not a loop race.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
All
we're
right,
selling our rentals as a point-to-point race, and it is a chase race too, right? Let's be real about that. You gotta have a good crew, and they gotta be on the gas, and they have to be smart about it, and everything that we hear at other races where you have the crew is generally the one that's in much more danger than the racer because they've got a cage around them, and we need teams to be really smart about this because it is a true chase race. And even though you can't go out in the middle of the desert here and support your car, you have Donald. How many pits are there? 24 or something?
Yeah, there's 25 pits total. So
Yeah.
it's definitely a chase race, like Jason's saying. You can't do just one chase crew and be able to do the entire event. Everybody's going to need a minimum of 2 crews. We're fortunate enough that Baja Pits Motorsports has signed up to offer some pit service. So if you're utilizing them, you'll be able to chase a race with 2 crews. But if you're not, and you want to hit all the pit locations, you're going to have 3 chase teams through the entire event to be able to make the mileage, because the race course mileage versus the highway mileage, there's just not enough distance to be able to make every single pit along the way.
That was one of the things I was going to ask is, how many, I mean, because this is a new format this year, a little different race. How many different vehicles do you think each team will need? You said minimum of 2, more likely 3, most likely 3?
Yeah, a minimum of 2 if you're utilizing Baja Pits for those pit locations. If you're not, and you want to hit every single location, it's going to take 3. Some of those pits, like 1 to 4, you can leapfrog, no problem. But once you get to 4, then you can make 5, you can make 6, but there's no way you're going to make it over to 7. You have to cut from pit 4 to pit 7, which means you're going to skip 5 or 6.
Okay.
And then now you've got a crew over at 7. Okay, you can go 6 to 8, no problem, but you're not going to make it all the way over to 9 before the race vehicle gets there and back to 10. So that's why we're saying you're going to have 3 crews if you want it every pits, or again, utilize Baja Pits Motorsports. They're out there. They're going to be at the 3 remotes. They're going to pick up a 4th one just to make it convenient on the teams. So they're going to pick up pit 7. Sorry, let me look at my note real quick. 7, 15, 16, and 19.
Okay.
So they're going to pick up those pits that are more out of the way to make it easier for you to do it with 2 teams.
Perfect.
Let's talk about that real quick. I utilized, Carlos and Baja Desert Pits last weekend in Mexico. I utilized their services. They are going to put their A team at the big 3, the big remote pits, as we call them. However, the guys at the other pits, please just have realistic expectations of what they have there. They have a couple of guys that are really good mechanics, and they have a couple of guys that are just volunteering their time, right? So be very patient. Understand that you're the best person to work on that car in those pits. They're just there to help you, support you, and do whatever. And they are willing to take parts out to those pits for you if you want to send them with a tire, you want to send them with stuff like that. But if you pull in there, those guys are relentless. They're not going to give up. If you're having a misfire or you're having something like that, they're going to try, but they don't have parts, right? They don't have, they're not a full service pit. They're there to support you in what you can offer for them. So do your due diligence, put a pit box together for each one of those guys if you'd like for them to take it with them or anything like that. But understand, also be realistic in the fact that they're trying to help you, but that's not their race car and that's not their job. So, use it for what it is, but understand that you're not going to pull in there and just sit back with drinking your latte while they're working on your car, because you're probably going to need to get involved.
Perfect. All right. And just to clarify, I know there's always there's kind of 2 different Baja pits sometimes, and someone says they are and someone says they aren't. So which one is actually helping you, Donald? You said it was Carlos, or which one is it?
Yeah, so there's some discrepancy in the name. So
Yeah.
to clarify that, just like Jason said, it's Carlos. The name he asked us to use is Baja Pits Motorsports.
Okay.
For all the U.S. stuff. So
Okay.
basically the same guy, but yeah, call Carlos.
Okay, call Carlos at Baja Pits Motorsports. That's who's handling the legacy race.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. All right, cool. Well, what do you guys think? Should we go over and look at the map, or did you have anything else that you wanted to say before we go to the map?
I think we dive into the map.
Okay.
Got lots of notes there, and I think lots of things will pop up. Before we do that, I guess real quick, Fish, that picture I sent you, did you get those?
Yes.
Let's pull that up real quick, because I think we should talk about that real quick.
The cooler?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hang on one
So
second.
we partnered again with Hostel, and they developed an awesome cooler bag for us for all of our participants that are signed up before the draw, which is today. So if you have not signed up, you need to get signed up today to be eligible to get a free gift from a Legacy and Hostel, Hostel racing products. And this is the bag they developed for us. So That's kind of what the side view top of the bag looks like.
Yep.
And then it's got it with the lid closed on it as well, which has got the cool Baja Nevada logo on it.
Yeah, cool. All right. And now who gets one of these?
Everybody that has signed up before draw day, which is today, each team gets 2 bags. So again, make sure you're signed up by today. So by the end of the day, that way we can get you on the list to receive one of those or 2 of those bags per team.
There's the
So
top with the map on it. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
All right.
super proud of that. Hostel does a great job, and we're glad to be able to put that out to the racers. Just a special thank you, and here's your little commemorative deal from this event.
Awesome. Yeah, the racers always like getting stuff like that. I know it makes it goes a long way with the racers when you get little things like that to remember different races. So that's always cool.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, cool. Well, let's bring up the let me bring up the map here, and we get to show everybody the course for the first time here. It's a long course, so we will we will cover as much as we can on it.
Yeah, it's no easy feat, as you can tell. We're using almost one tip of Nevada to the next.
Yeah. All right. So if I zoom in, let me find the start line here. So the start is right over here.
Right
So,
where it says Johnny there.
Yep, Johnny. All right.
Yep. That's the Maxxis Tire start line. That's where all the festivities kick off on race day. So again, the handlebars will unload there for staging, and their race starts at 3 a.m. The cars and trucks will police escort out from the Prump Nugget, and their race starts at 8:30.
Perfect. Okay. So they'll go from the Prump Nugget is below here, right?
Yeah, I'd be back to the south.
Let me just show
Yep,
everybody.
just following Highway 160 there.
Right in
Yep.
here, basically.
Where
right?
the 1035 is the Nugget there.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you guys haven't seen this, especially in the December race, the town shows up for this. They are lined up on the side of the road, and they have made signs. They have balloons. They're waving. They're honking. It's actually a pretty cool parade to do. They've gotten very accustomed to coming out and supporting the deal, and then you see a lot of them spectating the end of it. We have a lot of support from this community, and they enjoy having us. So please, let's not no knucklehead moves and no jetting your car on the back streets of Pahrump, and let's be respectful of the community because they welcome us with open arms.
Yeah, don't DNF on the parade to the start. That's never good.
Yeah, but along those lines, have fun with it.
Yeah.
Sirens and horns and giving the fans a thumbs up. Like Jason said, they're out here in full support, and they love it. And they make cool signs and show them that we appreciate them. So yeah, be sure to do that and be on your best behavior as well, so we don't get this privilege revoked from us.
Don't be that guy.
Yeah, don't be that guy. I like that.
All right. Well, here we go. Let's get started then. So we're starting off in Johnny, and we're gonna make our way north.
Yeah, we just kind of parallel each other here. Kind of real rocky off the first 5 miles, so the race will definitely be lost in that first 5 miles. You're not going to win it overall for sure. Super rocky terrain. Then it really starts to open up and get fast through the first 40 miles of the race course here. Just really fast, twist up and down a little bit, fun sand washes. You get your first pit, about that 18-mile marker, 19-mile marker where, I forgot to tighten the lug nuts at the very beginning of the race. This is your chance to pull in, make any quick adjustments you may have forgotten, then jump back in it.
Is that pit pretty easy? It looks like a straight access road too. It's pretty easy into that one.
Yeah, very easy. Big graded road, only about a mile off the highway there. So
okay,
lots of room in the pit too, can accommodate a lot of people.
We'll talk about that every time we go by a pit. Let us know what it looks like at that pit, how is getting in, and how big it is, just so everybody knows, if they're not familiar with that pit area.
Yeah, perfect.
Race teams, the access roads into the pits are not race course. They slow down, be respectful. We have guys passing each other all the time. Obviously, if a guy waves you by, slower vehicles, pull to the right and wave the guy by. Let him know that it's okay to go around. You guys that don't have anybody waving you by, get in line. That's why Donald says you need a couple of chase trucks to do this, is so that we're not flying up and down these roads with your chase trucks. Be respectful. This is race mile, 25?
Not even. It's like 18.
Not even 19.
Like,
yeah. Race mile 19. Let's not start being a knucklehead at 19. We got a long day. So just be respectful of everybody and slow down.
All right, and we do have for everybody watching, if you want to ask questions, go ahead, put them in the chat. I do have it up here. I will monitor it. We have a couple, Donald, if you want to start answering them. I'll just kind of read them off as I see them throughout the day.
Yeah. Before you do that, just real quick, I want to point out to Jason's point is, and if you zoom out a little bit, Fish, I can talk about this, but basically from Highway 160 all the way up to like Big Dune, if you're familiar with Big Dune is, just past Pit 24 there. That's pretty good. Up to about 960. There's a big giant power line that's going in. It's a multi-year project. It's going to be affecting us for many years. With that said, they've got 20 and 25 different water trucks on the highway right now trying to supply water out there as they're working, all kinds of crews and stuff. So when you're on the highways, this road doesn't normally have a ton of traffic. You got to expect a lot more traffic because of the workers that are going in and out of these areas trying to work on this project. Obviously, we're working with them. We've already done one reroute to get away and not have as much conflict, and it's continuous work in progress. But as of today, I can't tell you what their schedule looks like for race days. So again, like Jason said, be cautious. Let's not be dummies on the highway. Let's not cause any accidents. The race is on the race course, it's not on the highway. Just use your best judgment. Yeah, let's go ahead and answer a few questions, whatever's popping up.
Okay. Let's see. First one was from Brian Johnson. He said, let the 12s and 16 cars race the full race. None of us want to take the bypass. Perfect. We're starting off with a good one.
That's still a discussion we're having. He's been sending Christy a lot of info, and we're still working on that. So it hasn't been finalized on that one.
All right. So stay tuned, Brian. Next one says, let's see, the Baja Pits contact. We talked about that. Now talk to Carlos over there. Can we purchase additional coolers? Are they able to purchase additional coolers?
The answer would be yes. If we have additional left, we'll know kind of what we're looking at after draw day today. Then yes, they will be up for sale. Do I have the final price yet? I don't know yet. So those details are still to come.
Okay. Next one, will the map be available to download today for logistics?
Absolutely not. It'll come out on the Monday before the race, which I believe off the top of my head is June 23rd.
Okay. Monday, the week of the race is when it will be available. And that's the GPS file as well then?
GPS file and the map will come out and everything. Again,
I can
there's
hear
a lot of logistics we're working through.
Yeah.
There's a lot of logistics we're working through, and we just can't have people that can afford to take the time off going out to pre-run and stuff. There's just too much at stake to be having people out there doing what they're not supposed to be doing. It's a no pre-run course. We got to abide by those rules. That's why the GPS files, the map will come out on that Monday.
Perfect. Let's see. How long is the transit to the start? Are you able to refuel before the start line?
So that's in the information. It's 15 miles. You're not allowed to top off. So add that mileage into your miles here for your first fuel stop. You need to add 15 miles to it.
Okay. So 15 miles from the start will be your transit up the highway.
Yep, correct.
Cool. All right. What is the time limit? We talked about that. You have 31 and a half hours for bikes and 36 hours for cars. Will there be qualifying for UTVs? That's a no, correct?
That's a no. With the whole format and everything, everybody's starting nose to tail at that point. So there's no qualifying for UTVs. We got 1,035 miles for teams to sort it out. I think you'll be able to make a few passes in there.
Okay, cool. And then they just want to clarify, well, is there an overview map that will come out sooner, or will that just be available on that Monday as well?
There's a possibility of that coming out, a real zoomed out view.
Yeah.
To help with this as people can start planning their pit logistics.
Okay. All right. Well, that's it for now. Let's keep moving on the course.
Perfect.
So we're past pit 1. Now, right here is the first spot where it kind of goes off and then comes back in, right? You're going out, you're going to go to the right there.
Correct. You're hanging a right. It's a fun sand wash down to the highway here. Pops up over a little embankment and then goes down another really cool sand wash and rejoins there at the mile 35.
Okay. As a racer, a question that I would ask is, I know everyone's going to have this on GPS, but stuff happens. How is the course marked in the areas where it does go like that? And what happens if someone goes straight there and doesn't turn right?
So, yes, the course is heavily marked. We have a little trivia game out there, I think, right now. We're asking people how many course markings you think we're going to put out. So it's kind of a little fun deal that we're doing right now. But I can tell you there is a lot of course markings. All these intersections will be heavily marked with wrong ways, directional arrows, making sure that people go the right way. Again, the GPS file, and probably even some banners across it. And we'll come back and tear those down before the leaders come back going into the finish line on the return.
Okay, so it should be fairly obvious of which way to go. If you're in someone's dust and all of a sudden it gets really clear, you're probably going the wrong way.
Yeah, that's a fair assumption. And, if you haven't raced a legacy race before, we pride ourselves on our course marking. We have had a very good rate of not having anybody lost in 5 years through lots of tricky things, and proud of what we do, lots of compliments that we get. We do make mistakes every now and then, everybody does, but we put out a ton of markings, so it should be easy to follow.
All right, perfect. Well, we'll keep moving on then. So it comes back in at mile 35, and then you go north. When you see the PRC, that is a road crossing, correct?
Yep, that's a mandatory road crossing. So all race vehicles must stop, wait for the flag guy to wave you across a road. So highway traffic does have right of way.
Okay, just to clarify, you said stop. Do you have to come to a stop, or you have to do what the flag guy is telling you to do?
So you have to do what the flag guide's telling you to. It says paved road ahead, reduce speed, 25 mile an hour. You must be doing 25 up to the crossing with the stop sign. If the flag guy is waving you across, and you're good to go at that 25 until you hit the resume race speed sign, and then on the gas from there. But yeah, definitely watch that flag guy. And if you can't tell what that guy's telling you what to do, you come to a stop.
Perfect. All right. So
yeah, that's great information there, because as to Fish's point, that's exactly what happens, right? Is you come up to one flag guy and he's super enthusiastic and he's very communicative, and you know exactly what he wants you to do. And then you come to the next guy that's kind of like deer in the headlights, and they're all volunteers, and we're very lucky to have them, but you never know who you're going to get. But that's great news to know. I always thought that you had to come to a stop regardless of what that guy says. But if that guy's waving you through, we can go. That's awesome.
Yeah, the more we can roll across the road crossings, the better, because we don't tear up the aprons.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? But if there's traffic coming, and depending on what the NDOT guy standing there says, we might have to stop you. And it's a roll of the dice. Some teams will have to get stopped, and some will be able to roll through. It just depends.
Yeah, perfect. All right, cool. So then after you go across there, you're going to stay left at this one. So you're going to keep going straight, and then it looks like you jump on kind of like an access road right here.
Yeah, so you're on a wooden power line road, and then it makes a right, leaving the power line, and it becomes the turn 2 silt beds here for the next, 10 miles or so. So these are going to be really silty from 42 all the way to like 53, and then same on the return. So going to be silt beds through there. But the good news is there's multiple lines. There's 3 or 4 lines there, so teams will be able to jump out and get out of that gnarly silt beds.
Okay, and on this course, something a little different than some of the other races. Is there VCPs on this course, or what is the rule to how far you can go to either side of the course? How does that work on this one?
Yeah, so we do have some VCPs, not nearly as much as you see south of the border, but we have some out there. The rule is stay on the marked course. All these lines that pop up, we'll have either ways on them, so you can take the left or the right side, and it's very visible. They're not like a bunch of bushes growing over them. They're well used, good passing zones out through here. So very, very easy to see.
Okay. All right. And then a question, will the trackers tell you your speed on them in the speed zones, or do bikes need to get a speedometer?
I would highly recommend a speedometer for the bikes. They're hard to see on those ones. For the cars and trucks, they do display in the UTVs, but for the handlebar guys, I would definitely recommend a speedometer. Or I'm not very good with these smart watches and stuff, but I'm sure they tell you speed. I mean, they can tell you everything else, right? They got to be able to tell you your GPS speed.
Yeah. Okay. So have some kind of thing so you can know how fast you're going on a bike.
Right. Yep. And to that point, I understand. I'm a bike guy. That's my background. So I understand how hard it is to stay at 25. But you can also tell the difference between 25 and 35. Like there's a definite noticeable difference, right? So we try and be as flexible as we can. But if it's excessive, then you're going to get penalized, and that's a minute for every mile an hour you're over the speed limit. So the only thing you gain by speeding is a penalty.
Perfect. All right. So we'll keep moving. So before you get to mile 60, you're going to stay right at this one, or straight, basically, it looks like here, right?
Yep. Just cross over an access road, and you just stay in this big wash all the way up to pit 2. Pit 2 is always a challenge. It's the road turns the silt for the access in and out for the cars and trucks. So we highly recommend don't take your RV in here. Try not to drag your trailers in here. This is a 4-wheel drive pickup road because it's going to be great coming in, but by the end of the day, it's going to start to get worn down and tore up. So make sure that you're planning accordingly, that you have a 4-wheel drive plan to get in and out of that pit if you need it.
Perfect. All right. Pit 2, no trailers recommended.
Correct.
Then we come back north here, go over the road once again. So this is over the 374 actually here.
Yep, that'd be your second paved road crossing, and also on the return side. We'll talk about that when we come back, but same location. So again, 25 miles an hour coming to that. No traffic. They'll wave you across.
All right. Then it looks like we get a little bit of a terrain change once we get across here, and then we're going to go off to the right.
Yep. So to go out, we're going to stay in the lowlands, kind of go around this mountain range. Just left a town meeting last night. There'll be 2 speed zones in here. I haven't finalized the exact locations, but it's on the major uphills so we don't tear them up. We're going to reduce the speed down so that the locals will be able to use them afterwards. So there'll be a little small section there, a speed zone, and then this U-turn down here by the highway, and then we jump on a big road and go around a quarry and head out towards the flats where it gets wide open and fast.
And just to clarify, if someone's new to legacy racing, if you see the road comes right close to the highway here, are you allowed to touch your race vehicle over here by the highway at all?
Great point. You are not. The only area your crews can work on the vehicles are in the designated pit zones. So pit 1 through 25, you can't work on the side of the road. That's an automatic DQ.
And what is the policy if someone has a problem there? What are they supposed to do?
So yeah, if you have a problem here, right there,
anywhere on the course.
Anywhere, exactly right. We have a lot of retrieval teams out there. We'll bring you parts. We'll give you a tow. We'll help you out any way we can to keep you moving. We'll even get parts from your crew and meet them right close to the area, but your crew just can't work on the vehicles. So the 2 occupants in the race vehicle can work on it. Our guys can help you however they see fit, whatever they can lend a hand with. But your crew cannot work on it outside of those pit locations.
Okay, so I'm going to go one step further on that. So this, as to Fish's point, this is within eye shot of the highway. Is that driver able to walk out to that highway and get parts?
So if he walks out and gets parts and it's not through a legacy official, then that's outside assistance.
Okay, perfect. Just
because that's not allowed.
Clear on that.
That's exactly right. That's not allowed. You must get parts from us, even if we get them from your crew. And literally, Jason hands them to me. I turn around and I'm handing them to the race car driver. Then that's totally fine. But just doing it yourself is outside assistance. Now, if he walks to a pit, sure. If you want to take a 20-mile hike and get to the pit and walk back, I know Sandy Cohn did that one year. He took a whole third member and walked 15 miles out in the desert and changed it in his truck and then walked back. So
it's doable. And the way that they contact the emergency services vehicles, Dave and all those guys, is through the legacy relay system in Keith, right?
Yeah, so that's a good point. Yeah, the race frequency is 152.960. We ask you to use that for emergencies or calling in for assistance or whatever. And there will be 2 mountaintop relays. So we've got one down here by Beatty on a high point, and then we have one up by Tonopah on a high point. The Beatty side will actually run 3 shifts because he's got the start of the race and he's got the end of the race, and all the time frame. You just can't ask one individual to be up there for 36, 37 hours. It's just too long. So we're going to run 2 radio relays. So this one down here in the south will be put into shifts, 2 different guys taking turns, and the one on pilot, Keith will run that one along with Cindy, and they'll just alternate back and forth there.
Perfect.
So generally what happens on these deals is that they radio in, they say their race number, and they make sure that they let him know they're not looking for status. They're trying to get some help. So this would be 6001 chase to race ops. We got a car down at race mile 66, and we require assistance. We want to know how to get parts into them, in which they'll come back, they'll formulate a plan, they'll come back and they'll tell you where to meet said retrieval guy, and on Moon Valley Road in just north of Beatty or whatever. and then they'll take said parts into him at that point. That's all sounds correct.
Yep, that's exactly right. You explained that very well.
Okay.
Perfect. I have a feeling there's going to be a little bit of that going on in a 1,000-mile race.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably a little bit.
At
You
least
got a
one
lot
or
of good
two.
teams there to help accommodate this.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, good to know. That's one of the things I wanted to point out. I did see someone in the chat also ask that, and we answered the question. So perfect. All right.
Yep.
So headed back north, we're going around this mountain, it looks like here.
Yeah, a little mountain range there, quarry in here, active working quarry, but they don't use the road that we were using to get to it. And then, yeah, just weaves through the mountains, some fun trails, twisty, keep you on your toes. And then it brings you out into this big flat area at 95, and then it's hammered down for 10 miles here across this flat.
Yeah, that looks like it's wide open. Is it silty there, or is it anything like that?
It does. It turns to silt beds throughout the day. It's known as Sacrobatus Flats, so it definitely gets silted up, but there's multiple lines there to be able to use. And then it splits apart here. And again, because it does get a little silty, we're going to use the one line going out and the one line coming back to try and keep it to a minimum as possible and make it better for those handlebar guys coming back.
Okay, so that's basically why you did the split right here, just so it doesn't get used both directions in some of the spots that it gets torn up a little bit easier.
Right. Yeah. When it gets those 3-4 foot ruts in there, trying to get those handlebars out as much as possible to try and keep them as safe and make their event not just a miserable ordeal. Right.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, that's I didn't know that. I didn't know that you did that, and that is super super cool. And I would be, as a former bike guy, 100 pounds ago, I can tell you how much that those guys appreciate that, and how amazing that is that you went through the lengths of coming up with. It would have been very easy just to come back to that same course and go, have at it, boys. But you opted for the safer route and the harder work. And as a former bike racer, I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, trying to do our best to keep them in mind. And again, my background's bikes, and I hate being gnarly, rough terrain. And when it gets like that, I find a different route. Not that I don't like riding the technical stuff, but I don't like the big deep holes.
Yeah. And I did see a few three-wheelers on the list too. So
Oh yeah. Yeah. I feel, I mean, those guys are amazing. I mean, talk about an athlete, but they have nowhere for that front wheel to go. They are trapped, like a bike, you can obviously move one side or the other of the ruts. A quad, you can split them, but on a three-wheeler, when you split them, that front tire is down in the hole. So, oh man, my hat is off to those guys. It's going to be,
Maybe
very
at
interesting to watch
FanFest,
them navigate.
maybe at FanFest we can have a psychologist booth where just those guys go and talk it out before they go, because that just does not seem like a decision that history will be kind to.
Right.
Yeah. Well, we'll be watching. It's entertaining to watch at least.
Yeah,
So
for
getting
sure.
to pit 3 here, Bonnie Claire, this is a common pit. I know this gets used a lot during other races and it's been used a lot in the past, right?
Yeah, for sure. We finished our Baja Nevada here before. Lots of events that come through here. This one's a little bit unique because you got a paved road crossing leading into the pit. So you'll actually be doing 25, cross a paved road, stay to 25, all the way through the pit area, and then resume your speed.
Okay. Very good.
Chase crews on this one real quick. This is a real tight entrance between where the road course crosses and the entrance into the pits. And it's you can see that it kind of uses the same road. Be real smart here. This has a potential to get ugly early, and Donald does a great job of marking this all out. Just make sure you're clear of that when you're pulling into that pit.
Now there is pit speed limit here too, right?
Yeah, it's 25.
Are all the pits 25?
All pits are 25 miles an hour. Yep.
Okay.
Just keep it consistent across the board.
Yep. Perfect. Someone asked, well, on the GPS files, will there be anything on the direction? Like, does it say stay left or stay right when you're coming up to any of these splits? Do you know if it's going to have like a waypoint on there that says which way to stay?
Yeah, that's a great point to bring up. So yeah, we can add a waypoint there that says stay right towards race mile 25 or whatever the number happens to be.
Yeah, I think that would be great. I mean, I would like to see that too, because just when you're coming up to it, you're just going to see two lines. So it'd be perfect if they can read it off, even if it says like outgoing or incoming or something like that. Because when you come back around, that same waypoint's going to be there, right? So you wouldn't want to read stay right again. So it should probably say like stay right outgoing or something like that,
Right. And another point to that is because the file is so large, I mean, we're talking 1,035 miles. The point count right now is like 22,000 points on this race course. I know some of these older units can't load those up. Even some of the Garmin units, it just goes on the fritz. It mind boggles the computer what to do. So basically, it'll be broken into sections to be able to make it so those trails are less than 10,000 points. So when you download the GPS file, it'll come in normal. But when you actually look at it on your GPS, you'll see like 3 trails, if you will, to keep it under that 10,000 point mark. And my goal when I do that is I will change the colors. So when it uploads, it's a different color. So like when you have these mutual courses here, your outbound, maybe it's blue and your inbound is red or something, that help differentiate that as well. And again, teams can do whatever they want on those colors, but that's just something I like to do, is that it helps me be able to tell between the two which one's which direction.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, cool. So yeah, like for example here, this is going to be a hard 90 left that you're going to make on the outbound. Here on the way back in, you're actually going to make a hard 90 left too.
Correct. Yeah, turning away from each other there.
So hard 90 left works both ways.
Yeah, exactly. Good waypoint.
Yeah. All right. So then we're going to go out. We're going to pass mile 125. What's this terrain like up here?
It's got some mountain pass to it. Some gotcha corners where real tight switchbacks with some rocks on the outsides. And then you get into another really cool Nevada sand wash going up to the mountains here. Some fun rollers. And then you start to break out in these flats, and it really opens up the pace there again, coming down into the pit 4, down into the Trophy Light airstrip here, coming into pit 4 at Cottontail and pit 22.
All right. What's this pit like here? Is this easy access? It looks like it's real close to the highway there, obviously.
Yeah, very easy access. Easy access, a little bit tight on the room, if you will, because it's just not a lot of room between the in-dot fence and the back of the pit area. So, trailers will fit. It's just got to be condensed a little bit, but very, very easy. Even a car can drive into this one.
Holy cow. I was just noticing back at Bonnie Claire, you were at 35. I'm having to squint to look at these little numbers, but it was 3,600 feet. We've got up 1,000 foot in the next section, and now you're at 4,636. We're climbing in a hurry. I didn't remember that climbing like that because it does kind of feel more flat than that. That's pretty amazing. That there is a pretty good elevation change up through there through those sand washes.
Yeah, I mean this is 5,300 feet right here when you come through here, and this is 5,300.
Yeah, it definitely climbs up some, and we start to leave that lower valley heat area. So this will start to be more comfortable temperatures for everybody throughout the day.
And what time of the day you think the leaders are coming through here on the steering wheel guys?
Well, good for you. I got some notes here. So let's look at here. Pit 4. The first bike I expect there around 5:25 a.m. and the first car truck is at 10:45.
Okay,
Perfect.
so we've been 60 miles an hour average up to this point, you think?
Yeah, I think overall in the total course, we're going to be around the 63 to 65 for your car trucks. And for your handlebars, I think the lead guy is going to be right around that 60 mile an hour average.
Okay. Yeah. All right, perfect. So we go across the road here, across the 266, do a couple of hard turns, go across a little mountain pass right here.
Yep, through the mountains there. Another rocky sand wash. Be on your toes through this. And then you just open up across these flats, jump on a big county road for 7-8 miles. And then this is where the final split happens, where the last mutual course is. So going towards mile 165, you no longer see the double course, and coming back at 852 is when you finally intersect it.
All right. So once you're at 165, there's no more you have to worry about staying left or right.
Correct. It's all splits apart at this point. And that's back to the point of why the handlebars can't start earlier and why the cars and trucks can't start later, is because this point right here.
Yeah, you couldn't have a bike be coming right here while there's still cars going out on the course. You need to make sure everyone's out on the course.
Correct.
Now, a good question with that, actually. If you are in the four-wheel vehicles and you start and then you have a problem, is there a minimum time that you have to be by any of these pits so that you don't have that happen?
Yeah, great point. So every pit has its own pit closing time. It's not broken down for each individual. So Fish, if he's in a truck and Jason's in a truck, your closing time is the exact same time. It's just that overall time is broken down for each individual. So go back to the Cottontail pit. You know, the last bike out of Cottontail is 7:30 a.m. and the last truck out of Cottontail is at 3 p.m.
Okay. Yeah. Is this Cottontail right here, pit 4?
Yeah, pit 4.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, pit 4. And then
So
just to give you an idea, because of that 8:52, where I've got the first bike coming back through the closest pit, let's just say I got the first bike at 2:48 p.m. So he's up here around 8:20, and your last truck is here at 1:45.
Okay. Yeah. So you still have a pretty big gap.
Yep.
Yeah.
So to err on the side of caution, we're going to have a team here that's only dedicated for the bikes and quads at the 850 mile mark. And if there's for some reason any trucks and cars left to this section, we'll stop those lead bikes, give them a time credit, and make sure we get everybody clear there so there's no head-on collision. It's better to be safe than sorry. And then we'll issue that credit back. Now, the next question is going to pop up is, will it be the same time gap if we get stopped? I'm going to tell you no. And the reason why is if you hold those time gaps and say they're 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 minutes apart, you start stopping bikes and quads and three-wheelers that don't need to be stopped. So once that restart happens, it'll be every 30 seconds, every minute, and get them back on course, but you'll be given back your time corrected for being that stopped. If that kind of helps. Does that make sense what I'm explaining there?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So also, just to be clear on this point as well, we've been told by other race organizations down south that you're allowed to continue on. Just understand that there is no support, there's no road crossings, there's no whatever. Once that pit closes, you are not allowed to go forward at that point because it does double back on itself. Correct?
That's correct. It doubles back, and all these road crossings, they have to be manned. We have to have DOT out there the whole time. So when that time closes, those people go home. We're no longer allowed to cross that road crossing.
Yeah. So your race is done. Bring a trailer.
What
Yep,
just to clarify one more time, what is the latest time that a four-wheel vehicle can leave pit 4?
Right now it's at 3 p.m.
Okay, so if you are not to pit 4 by 3 p.m., your race is over.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Okay, that's a really good point, I think, because that's kind of that really you have to be there by that time or you're done. If you get past there and then at the next pit you have a problem, you can take all the time you want because no one's coming back. It doesn't matter at that point.
No, that's a little incorrect. There's a closing time for every single pit.
Okay.
So like the next pit, pit 5 is 4:30 p.m. for the last car and 9 a.m. for the last bike. So each pit has its own designated time. So to Jason's point, at some of the other events, and like you just said, you have as much time as you want. That's not correct. There's an overall time you have to finish by, and then you have to make all these pit closing times as well.
Okay. Yeah, it actually used to be like that down south. They used to do that where the checkpoints would be like a hard closure. And if you didn't make it, you were done. But now they're like, we'll leave it open in case you can make up time later. This obviously is not run the same. There's more restrictions and everything up here. So this is a hard closing time. Will that list of closing times be like available on the website, obviously, or in the racer packets or anything?
Yeah, it'll come out in the racer packet. So here in the next week or so, I think actually tomorrow, the teams will be receiving these closing times. And we don't anticipate them to change unless we see a huge influx in racers. Then we might have to extend them. But right now, based off of what we're seeing, this is the most accurate times.
All right. Perfect. Well, I think that's good information. A lot of people in the chat here were saying that too. So perfect. One other question regarding the GPS files. Will the notes be very extensive on them or will they be more limited since you were talking about the amount of points on them and everything?
Yeah, so we do multiple things. One, we provide a danger list, so it's a printout, and it tells you every danger on the race course, and it gives you a description. Like 851, I know it's a narrow canyon, so it's on there, danger, narrow canyon. We've went one step further, and we also put that same note on the GPS, so it matches that same printout. So when you see a D, the way it works, it'll be like a D0851.1, let's just say, danger narrow canyon. That's how it's going to show up on your GPS as well.
Okay, so there is pretty extensive notes on there to a certain extent.
Correct.
All right, cool. All right, well, let's keep moving then. So we're going north here. We're past 170. It looks like it gets a little bit more open up here around 180, a little faster up here.
Yeah, this is a power line. It's got some gotchas in it, some twists, some ups and downs, but it does have a good flow to it. Real fun. And then across the edge of the foothills here, around the edge of the lake bed there, and coming up to Pit 5, real fun section. Again, Pit 5, 25-mile-an-hour zone.
Where's the access to Pit 5? Yeah.
Yeah, so the road, it comes from Highway 95 back here to your right, and it brings you straight in. So you're going to cross the race course one time to get there. Yep, at 185. And then if you keep coming, see that Silver Peak Road down to the bottom of your screen? That's the access to get over to Pit 5.
Okay, so you actually have to turn in right below Pit 21, basically.
Yep, basically. Yep, you turn off Highway 95 here, just a little bit north of Goldfield. And this is a paved road that brings you all the way over to Pit 5. Pretty cool hot springs here at Alkali, nice natural warm hot springs. And then come on down here to Pit 5. It's all paved.
Okay, all paved to there, so you can take whatever in there.
Yep, and then since we're kind of talking about the chase here from Pit 5 over to Pit 6, if you stay on that same road, Fish, it turns the dirt just around the edge of the hill there, right about where this lake bed is. And then it's a dirt road. It's a great maintained dirt road all the way over to Silver Peak. But it does get kind of dusty, so make sure you turn on your headlights, obey the speed limit, and that's how you're going to get to Pit 6 and 8. Is just continue right down the road from 5 to 6 and 8. And there's a chase book that we'll produce. We've got it produced. It'll be in your packets that tells you all these directions on how to get to all the pits with mile-by-mile directions.
Perfect. All right. So we're going down south, go back towards Montezuma Mountain, it looks like here, Montezuma Peak.
Yep, we go around the base of the peak. This is the first time this section's ever been used. Nobody's raced this between like the mile 198 over to about 205. So very first time using this section.
What's it like?
It's like a switchback, if you will, along the side of the hill. Just follows along the foothill. So it's got lots of turns back and forth. Super fun on a handlebars. The big trucks are probably gonna be like, dang, I wish you wouldn't have used that section. The class 10 guys are gonna have a blast. The UTV is gonna have a blast, but the big trucks, it'll be you're gonna get your workout on that steering wheel through that section.
Perfect. You got to make it a little challenging.
You're right. It can't be just wide open for everybody.
Yeah.
And then rejoining there at 205 has been used multiple times, coming up and over the mountain. A fun sand wash to 210. Turn off on a little two-tracker. And then again, from about 212 to about 217, a two-track road that's never been used before. So it's definitely narrow, more like the trophy light, but it's low sagebrush. Got a lot of crosswash to it. So the handlebars are going to have to pay attention through here, and a few big gotchas for the cars and trucks. So be well marked, but this is a section to pay attention to 212 to 217.
Okay. And then you come across the mountain again a little bit here.
Yeah, it's deceiving. It's a big sand wash that runs all the way up to about 230. So just a really fun wash to rail, come up over the top. And then once you peak the top, you're back down in the sand wash all the way down to the bottom of the valley here. And across some dunes in here, kind of a fun sand dune area leading into Pit 6.
Cool. All right. So you come in Pit 6 and you almost do a U-turn basically, and then you start going down south again.
Yep. Work our way back across that same flat and then back to the mountains. And this, as you can tell, from like 250 to 255 is pretty twisty through a canyon there.
6,800 feet, mind you.
Yeah. With all the snow on the ground in June.
Yeah.
It'd be fun.
Yeah, these pictures, I don't know what day this picture was taken, but there's some snow in the pictures there.
Yeah. A little tight and a little slippery.
Yeah, but this is a Donald race, right? I mean, because we've had sand washes, we've had hills, we've had roads, this is exactly what I was talking about, the variety, and we're not even a third of the way through yet. This is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the terrain that everybody will get to experience here at Baja Nevada is nothing like they've ever experienced before. I don't think there's one single part of this that they might not experience except for maybe a snowstorm. And that's even evitable in June. Who knows? But it's going to be epic. This is one for the record books.
So this hard right here is definitely one that you want to pay attention to, because just looking at this picture right here, they're going to be hauling ass down this road, right?
Yep. Yep, that's a good, easy 80, 90 mile an hour road and comes into a sharp 90 turn.
Yep. So we'll
Again,
blow that one.
we do a lot of more markings ahead of time, warning you those turns are coming up, and heavy marking on the corners.
All right. Then you go back up. Is this another wash through here, or what's this like?
It's just along the foothills, kind of a road that was built along the edge of the mountain there to this canyon, and then jump on a flat road that parallels these farms behind the backside of these ranches up to Pit 7.
All right.
Pit
Access road
7 is
right here.
yeah, this road just above that hayfield you're pointing on, and then to your left is the access road. It's called Eagle Road. This is one that your Google Maps might try and take you on a different road, but we have been asked by the county to use Eagle Road to access this pit area. So please make note of that. It says in the chase book, use Eagle Road up to McAfee Canyon to get into Pit 7.
That looks like the straightest way in there anyways, really.
We used this a couple years ago at Baja, Nevada, right?
Yeah, we use this 22.
Okay, this is an awesome section. A lot of flow, a lot of cross grain, a lot of fun. That's a tiny pit, right?
Very, very small. That's why Baja Pits is here, and it's that really remote. Basically, to get here, you've had to bring the highway from Pit 4 to Pit 7. We talked about that earlier. So it's real small. It's an old gravel pit here. So definitely not a place for trailers to come into.
Okay.
Just bring your chase truck only.
All right. And going back north.
Yep. Fast there. And then when it starts to the mountains, this is a really fun section. You're kind of overlooking the valley and just riding along the side of the hill up over the top here, and really cool looking down on Fish Lake Valley. It's a pretty spectacular view. If I recall, I haven't seen everything on my stipulations of what is going to be required, but there's going to be a speed zone through here at some point. There's something that requires that, waiting for that information to come back. And then as you get up here about 295, another section where there's going to be a speed zone, most likely a 35, just because there's a drilling rig operation searching for gold in the area, basically exploratory drilling. So we have to accommodate them. They got to be able to get in and out of their work area, which is going to be on that road that crosses there at the blue line, just above 295. To your right, more fish.
Oh, up here.
Yep, just a little bit more right there. They got to cross our race course and actually use it for a quarter mile. So we're going to have a little mutual traffic there for a little bit. So we'll put a speed zone in, keep everybody safe, have a flagman there, coordinating with that operation, but just a heads up that'll be taking place. Okay. And then back to those mountains, another cool section. We had the Trophy Light Speed Challenge here a few years back to see who could get up to the fastest. And then right there, 305. That's a crucial talking point here. This is where all handlebars will break off. They're going to break off and take that blue line, the little smaller line back, and connect in at 436. So this is the moto section that all bikes, quads, and three-wheelers will take that section.
Okay, every single class, pro, sportsman, doesn't matter, all of them.
Doesn't matter. They're going from 305 to 436.
Okay.
And again, our reason is we couldn't give you as much time off the start line to stay in front of those cars and trucks. Well, this just gained you another 2.5 hours of lead time on those lead cars and trucks for those tail runners. And also for even the front bikes, none of us ever planned to have an issue. We're never going to break down during the race or have a flat tire or anything. But when that does happen, you start falling back. So this gives you that advantage to jump ahead, a 130-mile head start again, plus that 2.5 hour gap on those first trucks.
Okay. Let's see. We got another question. Will there be a list of dangers put out? Is there going to be, like, obviously on the GPS file, is there going to be a physical list, paper list as well?
Yep, absolutely. That'll come out about the same time as the GPS files come out. The reason we hold off on that is we want to make it as accurate as possible. So once we've had a chance to go all the way around the route, the latest, greatest data will be produced, and that includes the danger sheet.
Okay, perfect. All right, so all the motorcycles, quads, four-wheelers are going to go left right there. The cars and trucks stay to the right, and they will keep coming down here. Yep,
absolutely. So basically, your bike, quad, and three-wheelers were going to jump chasing from pit 7 to pit 11. They won't go to 8, 9, or 10.
Okay, no 8, 9, or 10 for your motorcycles and quads.
Correct.
All right, good to know. Then what do we got down here by 315?
It's a cool wash, really fast, flowy, and then it starts around 320, jumps onto a power line, fast power line. Really not a lot of dangers on it, just super fast coming into pit 8. Pit 8 is definitely not a trailer pit. I would suggest just bringing the pickup truck into there just because of the narrowness of it, and it's just right on the shoulder of the road.
So really,
And then,
pit 5, the vehicle that goes to pit 5, do not send a trailer there because it's going to be the same vehicle that goes to 6 and then the same vehicle that goes to 8.
yep, exactly. I would keep your trailer with your other vehicle that's going up towards pit 6 and over towards 9 and 10.
Okay.
And that's from there on, that's wide open. This is the 120, 130 mile an hour sections, all the way up into like 332. At 332, we go through a cool old mining area and work our way through the hills, back down in the flats for a second, come back up to the mountains. This is the Polaris Razor Mountains, we're going to call them, going through this section. And about 356, we got a cool waterfall we go down. So pretty fun technical little section there about 356 with a fun waterfall, and then jump back onto the greater road.
Speaking of waterfall, when was the last time this course saw any moisture?
Last week we got a little bit of rain. Not enough. In Nevada, we usually get like a 3-foot rain. That's a raindrop every 3 feet, but we did get a little bit.
Perfect. Another question. For the bypass, for the limited cars and the sportsman trucks, is it that same one that we just saw, or is it a different one?
It's the exact same one. So the moto bypass will be the same one for the car and truck sportsman classes.
Okay. All right. So yeah, the limited car, anybody that's in a car and truck is going to take the same one if they're taking the bypass. Only one bypass.
Correct. Only one in the entire route.
Perfect. All right. Then
So let's talk about that real quick. As a racer, for a fast sportsman guy, if you see a decent, 1450 truck or whatever they're in the heavy metal class in sportsman, they get to cut in front of you, and now you're in a faster class that's coming up behind them on course, right? That has that potential.
Right.
You guys that got the sportsman cut, there's a pro race going on, and you're not in it, but your race is just as important. But be respectful of that. Those guys coming up behind you, pull to the right. Let those guys by.
Yeah, and that's a great point, Jason. And that really goes down to like your stock UTV and stock mods. Those are taking that cutoff, and so they're going to be jumping ahead of those pro opens and the UTV turbos, and possibly even some 6100s, just because the 6100 had some problems or something. So, for everybody, when you've taken that cutoff and you see it's rejoined, just because you're catching dust doesn't mean they're going the same pace you are. You got to be kind of mindful that there's some slower classes that may have jumped in front of you through the section.
Okay, so let's talk about this, and I'm going to put you on the spot here, Mr. Promoter. Is it ever okay to bump a UTV?
Oh man, you did put me on the spot. So that's a tough one, right? Because some of these UTVs have gotten super fast. Like they're finishing the fourth or third fastest vehicle on the road now, right? So that's always a tough one because you don't want to bump them, because if you're like in a 6100, you're so much bigger than they are. You're 6,000 pounds compared to their 2,000 pounds. You don't want to damage their car. But if they're not moving out of your way, you've given them the push to pass. You've given them the horn. You've seen them be able to notice you. At some point, you do have to give them a little bump to say, hey, I'm here, because they're obviously not moving, right? And that, on the flip side, is pay attention to your mirrors. If you're getting caught, obviously that vehicle's faster than you. You need to move over and let them by. One thing that we've always done, and we will continue to push for and be an advocate, is the blue flashing light on the UTV. Now we're going away from making it a mandatory certain light. It just needs to be a blue light. And my 100% reason for this is it's a UTV. I just said they're the third or fourth fastest car on the road, but they're only 2,000 pounds. An unlimited truck has a problem. He's reeling them in. He's catching somebody doing 70 miles an hour and thinks there's another truck in his class. And then all of a sudden, out of the dust appears this UTV. So we are doing our very best to try and keep the UTVs noticeable with this blue light, so that you see that blue light, you're catching them, you understand, hey, that's a UTV in front of me. I can't just ram into them.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I got to tell you, our sport has a big issue right now with jackrabbiting, people taking off. It's hard to get angry at the people who don't do the bump and the tap before they do the hit. They just go right for the hit. But with as bad as jackrabbiting has been, it's hard to not justify that. I would hope we get back to that. I'm tired of cutting off the back half of our cars from bigger, faster cars that have had problems coming up behind us and slamming us in the rear. But their excuse is always, well, he didn't get out of the way, and the slower car's excuse is, well, I didn't have a good spot to pull over, or he never even hit the push to pass. I don't care what it is. We got to quit this race car on race car crime. And we got to quit slamming people, but at the same time, we got to quit jackrabbiting. It's a give and take, right? So this really has the potential for that, because now we have slower cars jumping ahead of faster cars. You guys play nice. You again, we're at 355. If I'm just picking a random number off of the thing, we're a third of the way through this thing. You got a long race to go.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
Good points, Jason.
All right, so coming up, and here we're going to be at just past 380 is pit 9. It looks like that's a fairly easy one to get to right after 95, huh?
Yep, a lot of room down in this pit. It's good dirt road in and out of it. And this is a good one to look at because you got Tonopah right here. You've been from the start line, you've hit Beatty that had fuel for your chase cruise, and this is your last chance all the way to Hawthorne. So make sure you take time to grab fuel, ice, any supplies you need, because this is your last stores for a good 200 miles on the highway.
Perfect. All right, good note there. And then this is really fast across here, right?
Super fast. Yep.
Yeah.
Big county roads. Works our way through the mountains here. Fun section that we put in about 3 years ago. It's really developed into some cool stuff. Pit 10. This is the Miller's east side pit. So you can see you got Miller's on both sides, or two pits right there side by side right there at the Miller's rest area. So pretty fun section through here.
That pit pretty easy too.
I'm sorry?
That pit pretty easy access, 10?
Yeah. Yep. Really easy to get into. Again, a lot of room so trailers can come in.
Unless it rains.
Unless it rains. The power line here, there can be a no passing zone because of this kangaroo mouse that we have to deal with through the blow sand here.
Is that why you have to go around? Is that why you have to go around right here?
Well, the road doesn't go through, so that's the natural road. But
Okay.
once you get to this U-turn right here, it becomes a lot of blow sand, and this is where this endangered mouse lives. So we got to do a no passing zone. Again, no speed limit. It's just a no passing zone for about 4 miles until we get out of their habitat, and then it's game on from there. But
What
this
miles
power
that
line is
could be?
very deceiving because it does have a lot of rock to it. So
What miles the no passing zone?
off the top of my head, I'm going to say it's about 411 to around 416.
Okay, so it's right here basically, yeah.
Yeah, right to that section we're looking at.
Okay.
And then, like I said, this power line's got a lot of gotchas for the handlebars, a lot of buried rocks in the roads that put you over the bars.
Okay. Then come down here, a little road crossing and a hard right.
Yep. So this is a road crossing here on the Silver Peak Road, and then we parallel the road, which this next 3 miles or so would be 35-mile-an-hour zone where we parallel the road, keeping the dust down, making sure we don't have any accidents and affecting any highway traffic. Then when you make the hard left there or the sweeping left, you're back to race speed.
Okay.
And then there'll be a flag person right there at 437 where those two courses come together, or 436 where the bikes and quad bypass comes back in. So there'll be a flagger here making sure we don't have any T-bones or head-on collisions here.
Perfect.
Over to pit 11. Another pit that trailers are allowed to get into. No big issues there. And then it's fast all the way over to pit 12. Real fun section along the hills there, and then you get across these flat. Another paved road, just again 25. Watch the flag guy, and fast as can be over here. And then a fun little piece coming underneath the highway here, about 467 underneath Highway 95 through a little underpass. No problems with height or width on this one. Lots of room. Race lots of time. coming into pit 12.
Looks like an easy one to get in there too.
Yep, very easy to get into, easy access to that one. Great wash up through 470 along the edge of the mountains there, and then a fun power line dropping into the flats, all the way across the flats, climbing back into the hills. And this is where you start to climb up to that high point. We're going up to the Rugged Radio's high point. Right there, we were talking about at 503.
Yeah, so Fish. Well, right here, like at 490, just to show everybody. So we're at 53. We're at 5,300 at 490, right?
Yep.
So then we get to 495. We're at 5,900. So we're up 600. Then at 500, we're at 67. So it really starts to go up at 500 there. And then, yeah, right about at 503, somewhere around here, we're at 7,800 feet. So almost 8,000. There was an 8,000 foot spot. Did I just pass it right there? Where is it? Right.
Yeah, there's 8002. Yeah. Holy cow.
Right there, 8023 right there. So 8,000 feet.
Yeah. So if you're overheated, need a time to break, this is a great spot to pull over, take a nap, eat a sandwich.
There's just not much oxygen up there.
Yeah. Well, you're up in the trees, man. It's great air.
Yeah.
Hey, in all seriousness, we had a situation like this where we were going the opposite direction. Look at all the snow on the ground. Yuck.
Yeah.
Coming down that one year, or a section like it, at the bottom, we actually had some racers that were getting physically ill because of the quick elevation changes, the stress on the body, that you're already dehydrated, and guys that, when we talked to Doc after that, he thought it was the quick elevation change that. And that was a short span going 2,000 feet. So hydrate. And if you're feeling ill, chances are once you get it out of your system, you'll be feeling better. It's just it's a version of car sickness, but elevation change is no joke.
Yep. And to your point, like 503, if Fish pulls an elevation around that 506, that hairpin turn, it's probably like 1,400 feet difference.
Yeah, you're already getting down to, was that 68, 69 here? We were, over 1,000 feet difference.
So, 2 miles, you've dropped 1,200 feet.
Yeah, that's a big downhill.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right, cool. Oh, another question. Are we allowed to land helicopters to refuel at the Coaldale landing strip, which is close to or at pit 11?
No, that's not an approved landing strip at Coaldale, to my knowledge. The only landing strips that I know of that you can do is obviously Beatty, Tonopah, I think Hawthorne, but there's no fuel in Hawthorne. So you almost have to go up to Fallon.
Okay. All right. That was one of the questions. So then we're coming down here, keep coming down the mountain. We're already down to 6,000 feet here. So, I mean, you're 2,000 feet in just a few miles. Yeah.
Right.
And then when you get to the bottom down here, you're already down to 4,700. So you're over 3,000 feet in, was that less than 10 miles that you've dropped?
Yep. So yeah, it definitely drops in a hurry. It's obviously not a very fast section through there.
Yeah.
This is a unique one, the VP Fuels double pit. So kind of a cool deal where you can have one chase team come here and just set up at 13. And then once they pitted at 13, just drive over to 17. And there you are, you're set up. So you don't have to go anywhere.
Perfect. All right. Well, that's easy then. So then you stay to the left here and make your way back northeast a little bit.
Yep.
Kind of parallel in 95.
Yep, just paralleling it.
The road crossing, jump across the smaller highway there.
Yep. Cool little mountain section. One of my favorite sections, the whole race course, is a really cool mountain section.
Cool. Then you do a little loop over here.
Yep, come down a really fast. Again, this is another one of those steep downhills where that, like, U-turn at the top there, if you will, it's probably 6,500, 40 or 5,000, somewhere in there.
6,500 right here.
Okay, so you pretty good guess. And then when you get down to the pit, you're probably closer to that 4,000 range.
Yep, 42. So you drop 2,000 feet.
2,000 feet. That's a big drop there.
Yep.
Never raced it downhill. We've always gone up it. We've never raced it down it. So that's something new or different this year.
If I remember correctly, there's some holes on the edges of some of those corners.
Yeah, there's a few kind downhill and loose rocks, so it's definitely one you want to pay attention to.
Okay.
And we skipped over it kind of quick, but maybe you can scroll back just a little bit. Fish right around 517. Just what's significant about 517? Right there on that power line. So the significance of 517, the Team Row Racing mile marker 517, that is the halfway point in the race.
Okay.
We're halfway done. So just want to bring that back up.
Perfect.
Most races have finished. Some races have been finished by 100 miles. You're only halfway through ours.
All right. Yeah, you're just getting started.
Yep.
Awesome. All right. So then you do a little U-turn after pit 14. You go back up a little bit, not as high. We are at 6,000 feet over here on this side. That is actually almost as high, about only 500 foot less going back around. Yeah.
Yep. Going over the same mountain range there.
Yep. And back to the
fun
north
piece
here.
from 575 to 580. We've never used it. Some other series have used it in their races, but we've never used it. I know I've never used it in 20 years, so it's kind of cool.
Okay.
Working our way down to pit 15. Pit 15 is another remote pit. So you got Carlos out there. And this is the fractal trailer turnaround point. This is the farthest north that we're moving. Now we're headed back south.
Here, I'll zoom out just so everybody can kind of get an idea of where it is.
Yep.
So there you go. Yep. Kind of see. So just north of or the east of Walker Lake there, and just below, what is this, Fallon? Just below Fallon, basically.
Yep, exactly right.
Cool.
Also known as Rawhide.
And just to the east of Lake Tahoe. There's Lake Tahoe right there.
Yep. Yeah, just a hop, skip, and a jump over there.
Yeah, no problem. Just getting a helicopter, only a couple minutes.
That's right.
All right. So then we have come through here. Anything special here with these all marked like that, or is that just something?
No, it's just pretty fast, wide open stuff.
Okay.
A lot of fun trails.
Yeah, very fast in here.
There's a spot right there at 615, and it'll show up on the right there.
Oh yeah, what's that?
So there, I'm going to call that a high-speed line. The straight line. It's a steep uphill, but there's no reason vehicles can't use it. So most of your handlebars can continue straight there and right up to the top. A lot of your unlimited trucks, 6100s, but when you get into your limited horsepower, especially like your class 11, you're going to want to follow the marked route around the U-turn because it's just an easier climb. So there's not a DQ. You're more than welcome to use that. But if you're down on power or whatever, take this alternate line to get around it.
Perfect. So it's an either or.
Yeah, either or.
All right. Easy enough. Glad you pointed that one out because I wouldn't have seen that one.
Let's talk about that real quick, Donald. Having no idea where that is that what happens if a car gets halfway up it and can't make it? Can they, we don't allow going backwards on the course. Now where are we at?
Well, obviously you're going to have to back down. So use your common sense. If you're an unlimited truck and you're running on 6 cylinders, it's probably not the best thing to try and go up that hill. You should probably go around it. Also if you're limited to, 4 cylinders and not all-wheel drive, you may want to look at going around it.
Okay, so a perfectly good running, 7200 truck might be the borderline, whereas maybe a trophy light or maybe a stone stock mini or something like that, maybe should be looking at going around the thing instead of trying to get up it.
Yeah, in a 4-wheel vehicle, if you're carrying 50 miles an hour plus up to this point, you're going to blast right up the thing. If you're struggling to get up to 40, 45 miles an hour, just go around and take the safe route.
Yeah, I mean, I think something like this is you're in a 1,000-mile race, and this is going to cost you like a minute to go around or something.
Exactly right.
Yeah, so just go around if you're questioning it.
Yep.
I'll have to introduce you to some of these racers.
I know. They'll be the guy that 1 minute in his race won't mean anything, and you know where he'll be? He'll be right here for about 30 minutes to an hour.
Yeah,
when he could have gone around for 1 minute.
You're exactly right.
And it's remote. It's 20 miles for us to get anybody anywhere, and there's no really access into it. So
yeah, I mean, look at that. There's nothing around it. Zoom way out. There's literally nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Middle of nowhere for sure.
Once again, don't be that guy.
Don't be that guy.
Somebody will for sure.
Pit 16 is always fun. That's the town of Gabbs. The locals love having the race come through there. They shut down the streets and you can race right down the pavement. So through the pit area, it's a 25 zone right in front of the bar. And just a note, I talked to the owner there. They will open the gas station. So if you need gas or diesel fuel, you can go to the bar, purchase it, and then they'll take you over to the pump and get you filled up. So pretty cool. They're going to have food.
I didn't even know that was a thing there.
Oh yeah. Yep. Their unleaded pump works intermittently throughout the day. It has something to do with the temperature, but they have no problem with the diesel pump. And that R&D bar right there at the back of the pit, they're going to have food and ice and drinks and just cool. So support the locals when you're there, and try and stock up while you're there in Gabbs. Then when you make that hard left onto Brucite, go ahead, Jason.
What's that? The turn 2 bar, because Aaron Bryant stole the last burger that they had in there from me in there.
Looked like he was doing you a favor.
Oh.
Probably doing me a favor too. But yeah, you turn on the Brucite and now you're wide open through town all the way past the post office and stuff. So they really are very accommodating here in Gabbs. We love going to the community Gabbs.
Cool. And then you got to slow down for the road crossing though, right?
Yep. Back to 25 across the road, watch the flag guy, and then back up to speed. Power line here has a few washouts in it, but pretty quick pace across that.
Oh, we have the couple of the media guys are saying, make sure the racers know full speed through Gabbs. I think that's because they're going to be filming there and they want to get cool shots coming through there.
Yeah. The only place on the race course so you won't have dust at high speed.
Yeah. All right. Well, everybody should be watching this, so you should all know now, right?
Yep. Giving you some tips.
Yeah.
Is that a passing zone in that high speed area through town?
No passing. That would be a bad deal.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah.
Bang fenders or something. Hopefully by 625 miles in the race, we're spread out enough. It's not an issue, but yeah.
Now, just to clarify on that, if someone doesn't know that it's full speed and they're doing 25 miles an hour, you're allowed to go around them, right?
Yeah, exactly. Do it very, very cautiously. Let's
Okay.
make sure we don't have to buy somebody's house from them because we were knuckleheads.
Yeah, that was exactly my point, is the fact that a lot of people don't realize that we're also groomed when we come into a town, we're pulling back the reins, right? We're slowing down. But this is one of the rare occasions where you just get to go wide open through this town, and head up to leaving the pits there in town where there is a speed limit. And if you don't remember that, someone's coming up behind you really, really fast.
All right, perfect. So then when you leave there, you come down here and make a hard U-turn, it looks like right here. Don't miss this one, huh?
Yeah, turn it off a power line. It's got a good groove to it. It's been raced many times. So very distinguishable. And then go up by this mine.
Is that under the road right here? Must be. Or is it over?
I'm sorry?
Is that under the road, or that's not really a road there?
No, that's just a dirt road there.
Okay.
You might have chase teams going from the pit there at Gabbs over to pit 19. So chasing across there from 16 to 19. But we'll stop the road traffic. The racers will have right away on that one.
Okay. Is there a little quarry here, it looks like, or something?
Yep, an old abandoned mine. And then down a fun sand wash, down to another good grade of road. And then it gets really rocky from about 642 all the way up to about right there where we go underneath the road there. That's called Finger Rock Wash. So it's got a lot of big boulders in it, lots of runoff, and go back underneath highway 361. They had 316 on that. That was interesting, but it's highway 361 we go underneath.
Okay.
Fun wash up to the road crossing there. Again, watch the flag guy. And then up to the hills and down through this canyon that we raced a couple years back. Really cool canyon. Going to have a little silt beds in there, but all the washouts that were there a few years ago, we got tuned back up and back to the VP Racing double pit.
Okay. Yep. Easy enough there.
Small speed zone leaving pit 17 on the road just because there's another drilling operation that they have traffic going in and out. So about 1.5 miles of a speed zone there to where we jump into the wash on that Simon Lead Road, just that section. And then we take this fun sand wash up really fast, flowy. Got a good groove to it, not all washed out. So it's a riot to ride in. And then up over the summit through a little silt bed there at 680. And then on a fun grader road, it's got a little narrow cattle guard to it. It'll be on your danger list. They're about 685, but really fun road. And a
Kind
cool
of a question.
section.
Quick question on that real quick. So you said cattle guard. Somebody said, is there any private property gates that the lead bikes may need to be cautious about being closed?
Yeah, so we'll have again the latest greatest data when we get done with the course marking of what gates are open or closed, and provide that to our crews, and then we'll heavily mark them. Dangers on the gates, ribbon across the gate. If for some reason our guy didn't get out there to open it, or it got closed behind him after opening it, there'll be ribbon across it so that those lead bikes can see it. I know 2 years ago we had a little issue. We went and opened the gate. The rancher came in 20 minutes behind us, closed it, and the lead bike hit the fence there. So we try and do our very best to mark those, and we'll have a list to make sure that they get verified and check with our radio guy that they got opened.
Okay, perfect.
This is a fun section. Hadn't been used in a long time. We found it in about 23, I think it was, and reinvented it. And it's been a cool section coming across, working our way back down towards Millers.
Oh yeah, you get a little bit of elevation again until you're back up to 6,500 feet, a little bit there.
Yep, across that little mountain range, and then across the flats. A lot of fun stuff, going through some old abandoned mine areas, and then coming down into the Miller's Pit there.
Another looks like a pretty easy one, actually.
Yep, very easy as long as we don't have any rain. And one thing to point out, though, back here at the road, they did some road construction and just finished it up, and it appears like right at the corner of the fence of that rest area, you have to turn in right there because they've got some drainage rock and the drainage right there along the shoulder. So you got to turn in right at the corner of the fence to go through that cattle guard. If you try and come through right directly across on the pit area, it could be a challenge with the trailer because it's got kind of an elevation change there. Big bar ditch, if you will, on the side of the road. So just a heads up for you crews going into pit 18. Make sure you're slowed down and turning right at the corner of the fence to go into 18.
Perfect.
Yeah, and that road can get a little soft in some sections heading into that too. So just be careful.
All right,
for sure.
Back north for this little loop here.
Yep, just a little cloud around the mountains, if you will, and really neat old mining community back there that you go through with some old structures. Coming down to about 750, really got to slow it down. It's a fast road, and coming down and making a 90-degree turn right against the road there, the Gabbs Pole Line Road. So we got to definitely slow down the speeds there coming into that and make sure you don't overshoot that jumping out onto the road.
Okay.
And then just parallel the road. There's not a speed zone by no means coming into pit 19, but just making people aware of that. Then a little quarry here at 19. Again, lots of room. Another spot that Carlos will be at. A fun road out of there. Just gets a little silty towards the end of the day, but it should be good. And then going across the edge of the Can-Am dry lake bed there, headed towards Tonopah.
All right. Yeah. So then you come around, do a little loop, go under the highway or over the highway here, obviously. Another road crossing.
That's a double. So the bikes, all the handlebars will go underneath the highway. So there's an underpass that they can fit. The cars and trucks will all go over the top, including the UTVs. But when the first car or truck gets there, then at that point, all race traffic will go over the road. So the bikes won't divert and go underneath. Everybody will go over the road at that point.
Okay. Well, that's easy enough. Then you come back around and over to 20. This would be the Tonopah pit, right?
Yep, that's the Tonopah West pit. East pit. And again, last chance for food, fuel, whatever you need until you get all the way back down to Beatty. So another 120 miles before you have that opportunity.
Okay.
Crossing back to the mountains, really fun section. Going out here by an old dry lake bed, mud lake. And then through the hills again. Little rocky through here. Definitely a good chance to get a flat tire to head down towards 815. And then you jump onto a really fun road from like 817 all the way up to about 825. Just fast, real fast. 825 is a good sand wash coming into pit 21. There at the Klondike pit. Again, lots of room here.
Even though it looks like flat desert, we're still at 5,300 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're definitely part of Nevada that still has some elevation to it.
Yeah.
And then ironically, this whole section here, I've never raced it backwards from pit 21 down around the backside of Goldfield. So some fun twisty hills up in here and working our way down along the old railroad grades. They're at 840 and back underneath the highway again around about 8:45. We make that turn and go underneath the highway, and then this is where the courses join back together.
Perfect. Yeah. So then once you're here, you're going if there are bikes coming in that get here too early and there's still cars coming out, they will be held here and credited time like you said earlier.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. Good recap. Just again to keep that safe so we don't have any head-on collisions.
Yep. So then we're doing all the same thing back in here. Then you go back to pit 4, which is now 22.
Yep. Same location as 4, just the opposite direction.
Okay. We'll try and see. Then 23. So this is different here, right?
Yep. That's where that course split off there. It's a different pit, different road crossing.
Okay. So pit 23 is right on the side of the road.
Right on the side of the road. It's got some bar ditches to it, so it's not a very good trailer access, if you will, because it's just not conducive for getting off the road and up. Your trailer tongue will drag.
Okay.
The race course just runs through the bar ditch there and then over the road crossing. So it'll be a speed zone all the way through the pit to the road crossing. Then across the edge of the dry lake bed here has a lot of clumpy like mounds and stuff, so a few dangers there. And then across this big lake bed, working our way across, touches each other here for a second. And again, like we talked about, keeping the handlebars out of those silt beds as long as we possibly can through this section. This section here, the 905 section, it hasn't been raced in a good 12 years, so it should be pretty good ground settling. It shouldn't be super soft at this point.
Okay.
And then right after there, 102, it splits off again.
You're going to make a right?
102, like 913-ish. Yep, makes a right turn and works our way up over through the mountains around the backside of Beatty and down to the same road crossing. Big downhill around 922, big steep downhill. So we want to definitely slow down our speeds there. It's definitely one of those that you don't want to race down. And 2 years ago, we went up at the opposite direction. So definitely P's and Q's on the 922 section.
Yeah, it looks like about 1,000-foot drop or so.
Yeah, in a hurry.
Yeah,
like within a quarter or half a mile.
Yeah.
And are you thinking at this point that even the lead vehicles are in the dark at this point?
Oh, they have to be, right?
Yeah, so let's look at some times. That's a good point to bring up sometimes. So at Cottontail, I got the first bike going through there about 3:30 p.m.
What mile is that?
And
Just so people know.
Sorry?
What mile is that? Just so people don't know the name.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Good point. 870 at 3:30 p.m. and the first four-wheel vehicle or steering wheel, sorry, at 9:24. So they've been in the dark for about an hour at this point.
If someone, where do you have the first vehicle? Let's see. What time is sunset up there? About 8 something? Right about 8?
Yeah, 8:20. So sunset would be right around the Tonopah East Pit for these guys.
Okay. Yeah. So they're going to want to make sure if they're putting their light bars on at a pit that they have them on before that pit.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. Making sure that, one thing I always tell people is not necessarily a certain location on the race course is a time, at 7:30, whatever you're looking at the nearest pit to 7:30, you should be putting that light bar on.
Okay. Yeah. 8:23 p.m. is the sunset on that date in Hawthorne.
Perfect. Yeah, 7:30 is probably a good time, honestly, because you never know what's going to happen between that pit you come to and wherever.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. So if you're not hitting like the remote pit at 19, you're only going to 18 and skipping to 20. You're going to have to put that light bar on it at 18 if that's closest to your 7:30 mark.
Yeah. Let's see. Brian Johnson says, can we get the lowest elevation and the highest elevation for us VW guys to make sure our jetting is good? Well, I think we talked about the highest is 8,000. And what's the lowest? 3,000 something?
Yeah, probably around 31, 3,200. Sorry, Jason.
2516 at the finish is what I saw.
Okay. So 2516 to 8,000. Good luck jetting that, Brian.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a lot of changes through there.
Maybe you want to change the jet at a pit.
There you go. Once you get past Cottontail, jet it for a higher elevation.
Yeah, that's a pretty big change. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we're back to pit 2 now, which is 14 in Beatty, and we're at
Yeah,
mile
the paved road
930.
crossing.
Yep. So
And in this section, we're gonna have to have an alternate pit for the bikes. It's too far for the handlebars and the stock UTVs. It's something like 80-mile range. We had it all figured out, but again, back to this power line, it's changed our route a little bit. So we're working on that. Hopefully going to have some updates here very soon of what that pit's going to look like, whether the teams are going to be able to come to it or if we're just going to have to man it ourselves. VP Fuels has been generous enough that if we do have to man it ourselves, they'll supply us with fuel. So teams won't have to worry about that. We can just fuel you up, give you 2 gallons, and you'll be able to make it in. But keep that.
Which zone is that you're talking about? Between which ones?
That's between the last pit at Bonnie Claire.
Between 13 and 14?
Yeah, so that's at
sorry, whatever the
I know we bounced around a little bit. So that's at like mile 894.
Okay, so right here.
Yep.
Yeah, so 894 to
the next pit is 973, so that's 80 miles, right? So there's no way our handlebars are going to make that, and a lot of our stock UTVs won't. So again, we had it to where it was about 40 miles, and then there was fuel, and then 40 miles there was fuel. But the power line projects kind of screwed that up. So we're working on a solution. We haven't forgot about it, but we'll get that information out as soon as we can.
What if I don't mean to double guess or anything, but what about pit 2 here? Would that be an option coming back in?
Well, the problem is once you go into pit 2, you're stuck on that same ruts and routes all the way through to back to about the 55 and 950 mark, if I remember right.
Okay.
So again, trying to just keep that safety in mind of that gnarly terrain. So we're going to figure out something over here to where we can stay off of that route. Okay. Even if it ends up down here at the 950 and we do it ourselves. Again, we're going to figure that out, but we don't have the exact solution right to this date.
Okay, cool. Very good. Yeah, so then you come back down here, and then this is the next pit, like you said, at 975 or 4, whatever this is here. Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. Okay. So that's just too far for them to go.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. So this pit is right off the 95 too. It's easy to get to that one. Or
yep.
No problem?
Yep. It does get a little powdery coming in and out of here. With the traffic being so spread out, I don't see it as bad as like our other races where they're only like 60 miles in and there's 100 vehicles in and out of there real quick. So I don't think it'll be as bad, but yeah, really easy access. And then you got fuel and fireworks there at the Amargosa there at the Alamo fireworks place. So if you like fireworks, that's a place to buy them.
There you go. That's always a famous one, right?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. And they have the Area 51 Alien Center is there as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Oh, look, there's fish.
Yeah, exactly.
I saw you there in the picture.
Perfect. Is this the one that has a brothel at it too? Or is that a different one I'm talking about?
We won't talk about that fish. Yeah. This is a family show.
I'm just giving everyone all the information.
It's a family show.
You thought my eating disorder was bad.
So then you come back south and you rejoin again right here at just past mile 40 and make a hard left.
Yep. Back onto the power line there and cross on the road. And this is just mutual. Then you got the split off there, staying straight through, and then rejoins. And now it's the same all the way up to mile 1,000. So you pick up pit 25 again, same location, just opposite direction.
Yep.
And then when you get to the 1,000 mile mark, basically where it splits apart.
Stay straight.
And then now, yeah, this section here, you're in the VT construction final push, the last 36 miles. Once you cross the road here, it gets very rocky at PRC 16 and very challenging, twisty. This is what separates the men from the boys, the women from the ladies, getting them to the finish line to this last 36.
Awesome. Yeah. So you're just on the east of the highway here. What is this terrain? Is it all just kind of different stuff?
Yeah. So it's got some sand wash and then it's up and down through the hills and lots of rocky terrain, lots of gotchas with drop offs. Just switchbacks, turns, hard rights, lefts. So just a variety. In this section here, coming up, that little loop is really fun up and down the sand wash. It's a really cool section, flowing, rail a lot of the corners on the bikes. And then when you get down to like 132, you kind of jump on more of the roads and coming into the finish line at 10:35 there at the Prump Nugget.
Perfect. Now, will the finish be a flying full speed finish, or what do you have planned for the finish line?
Yeah, so it is a high speed finish. So right there about the 10:35 mile marker is where the timing trailer will be, where you will come through at full speed. Then you begin to slow down and put it down to a 25-mile-an-hour speed zone coming down into Wilson. And then as you enter the parking lot coming in there at the Falcon Tire finish line, there'll be some stop signs. And that's where you'll see the Legacy box fan and then the announcer and all that stuff where you can go celebrate. Congratulate you guys on finishing the longest off-road race ever in the United States.
Awesome. Yeah, that's going to be a good one. It should be exciting. And once again, if you just joined us, we were on your paper here. It says you're expecting the first finisher around 11:50 p.m. for the vehicles, and then 8 p.m. for the motorcycles. But it might be a little earlier, you said.
Yeah, I think it'll be close to that 7 o'clock mark, just before sunset for the bikes, bike quads, some of the handlebars. But those guys will be going into the dark as they finish. So they started in the dark, they finished in the dark.
Yeah.
Their finish line, again, just a hard cutoff time. Everybody's time will be a little bit different, but we anticipate the last bike in by 11:15 a.m. on Saturday, and the last car truck UTV finisher at 11 p.m. on Saturday night.
Okay.
So right close to that 36-hour mark for cars and trucks and UTVs, and then 31 and a half for bike, quad, and three-wheeler.
Awesome. All right. We have a couple more questions. Let me go back a little bit. What if we run 110 race fuel? If they run race fuel and you have to do that added thing for the UTVs, will they have to supply that, or will you have that also?
So right now, talking to Mike, it looks like we're going to get C9 race gas. Unfortunately, that doesn't equate to me. Maybe Jason knows what the C9 and the octane rating is on that. Would you know off the top of head, Jason?
I don't. I'm sorry. I can look it up.
Okay. That's what Mike suggested when I brought this up, and I told him what we're doing. He says, "Oh, the bikes and quads, they're going to want C9. They're not going to want like UTV 96."
Well, this was a UTV that was asking that question, I think.
Okay. So yeah, whatever the octane rating is for VP, the C9 is what will be provided.
Okay.
Yeah, right. It doesn't hurt catalytic converters, doesn't hurt O2 sensors, spec fuel for mini racing series. I don't have an octane rating, but it looks like it's pretty safe for just about everything.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So then you'll be putting out more information on that. Oh, it's actually for a quad. So yeah, there you go.
It complements the C10 race fuel, an economical alternative.
C10, I believe, is 110, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think that's what the 10 designates on that. So
yeah. Yep.
Okay. And then obviously there's a few bikes or quads that might be two-stroke. If that's the case, then obviously they're going to have to supply us their fuel. We don't want to be responsible for not mixing it to the right ratio or whatnot. So if that ends up being the case where we are the ones running the pit, we'll have to ask for those certain teams to bring their two-stroke gas to us, so we make sure we accommodate them.
Okay. Yeah, and stay tuned. Obviously, you guys are still figuring that out. Ideally, the teams might be able to take care of themselves at some place you add, right?
Yeah, correct. We're trying to get a spot where the teams can just take care of themselves, but the backup plan is that we'll handle it.
Okay. All right. Well, perfect. I think that answers all the questions on the course. Someone said, will this be, yes, this is all being recorded right now. So if you just joined us now, this will be on our YouTube and our Facebook. Facebook deletes it after 30 days, but YouTube, it stays on there forever. So you can, once we're done here, this will be up there. You can go watch this at any time you want on YouTube if you missed the beginning of the show. So that was that question. And somebody said the killer course, Donald Legacy. A lot of people are liking the course. I think it's going to be a good one.
Awesome. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Fish, not closing out here, but I don't want to forget. Hey, we appreciate you doing this, helping us out. You're the man, and taking time out of your day to put this together. So we really appreciate you.
Yeah, no, I mean, if I was doing this, I always look at it as like a race review, because that's where I started, right? Like if I was a racer, I would want to do the same show. Like I would want to watch this, right? Because everyone has a million questions. So why not just do a show everybody and answer everyone's questions at the same time? And then you can go back and watch it whenever you want, because it's recorded, you know?
Right. And like we've talked about in the past, has always been revealing the map too soon. because of all the other litigations that we go through of trying to prevent the pre-running and keeping it safe so everybody has the same shot, and being fair.
No, that makes sense. Yeah. Somebody wanted to know the handlebar start order. Is it going 2-wheel, 3-wheel, 4-wheel?
That'll be determined. It hasn't been finalized. The 3-wheelers will be in the mix there somewhere and the 4-wheelers will be there somewhere with the bikes as well. It all varies, again, pros, experts, amateurs. So there's a lot of varies there, but yes, that'll be announced at the writers meeting of what that starter order is.
Okay. I'm sure it's pretty much the same as any other one, right?
Yeah. Yep. Pretty much.
All right, cool. When will the updated pit mileage be available for the bikes? That's what you're working on right now, right?
Yeah. So, obviously the mileage is out there. We've already posted what the miles are. So bikes and quads, once you get to pit 7, just take the mileage over to pit 11, which we've told you is 40 miles. And then from that mileage around the rest of the course, subtract 130. So that helps you figure out your mileage. So from, you take 130 off of that. Now you're still looking the same distance between pit 11 and pit 12. It just went from maybe 930 to 800. Let's just say.
I think that some people struggle doing math, so they probably want to see a list of overall mileage at each of those pits for the bikes and quads too.
Okay. Yeah, we can work on that of creating just a specific exact mileages.
Yeah.
I'm going to second guess myself on that. We're not, because it's not going to match the mile markers. You know what I mean? Like mile 1,000 is not going to be marked as mile 870 for the bikes and quads, right? So they're going to have to do a little forward thinking here and take 130 miles off the route after pit 7, at pit 7, pit 11, somewhere in there, they take 130 miles off, and now they're solid.
Yeah. So if they're out on the course and they come across the miler, they're going to radio into you guys. They're going to tell you the overall mile. They're not going to tell you their mile. Yeah,
absolutely. The mile markers are going to be the same for everybody. It's only 1.5 miles that the bikes and quads use, or the cutoff uses, that's not actual race course. So there's 1.5 miles here, then it rejoins. So you're basically going from mile 305 and you're re-intersecting the course at mile 436, and the mile markers just keep on clicking.
Okay. Perfect. All right. Well, if any of you guys are watching, we're going to wrap it up in a few minutes, but hurry up and ask your questions while you have everybody here live. You get them answered right now.
That's right.
Another question, will there be a live show? Are you guys doing any kind of live coverage, or I know you're still kind of figuring that out maybe?
Yeah, we're still working on that. Obviously, we've been having some conversations about that with the entries growing and stuff. So there's a good chance there's a show of some sort. Of nothing else, there's going to be live in-car shows on our YouTube channel, so you can go click on people's in-cars of the videos.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, everybody with the Star Stream will be visible on there probably, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool.
So, Donald, we have some racers with some silt phobias. Where do you anticipate there being the biggest opportunity for really, really soft terra firma out there?
Well, obviously the mutual courses coming back and forth are the more challenging ones. We kind of looked at that between pit 23 and pit 24 as being that the reason we have the two different routes there. But definitely coming into 24, if you've raced the Desert Showdown in the past, that silt area right there gets silty. It doesn't go to like unbearable where you're just 4 feet deep, but it definitely gets powdered up, and you just got to drive smart and try and stay out of the grooves through some of those sections.
You guys always do such a great job of having Dave and his crew in the right spots, but now you're covering 1,000-mile area. Do we anticipate having some help in that area just in case, or?
Yeah, so there's a lot of moving parts to this, if you will. You could probably imagine, but we've kind of broken our retrieval teams into like 2 groups. We got a northern and a southern group. So a lot of the guys will take off from Pahrump and work their way to Tonopah, and then they're going to go to rest for the night. And then when the race comes back through Tonopah, they pick it up and chase it back to Pahrump. And once it gets to Tonopah, a lot of the Vora group's going to jump in and take the northern section and work it from Tonopah back to Tonopah. That doesn't exclude Medic Dave and Motorsport Safety. They got all their teams, their medical teams out there. and he's kind of working on the same program to have chances for some of his teams to be able to get breaks, because it is, it's 36 hours for the steering wheels, but also factor in the bike times that affects all of us on the race ops side. And so now you throw in another 5 hours on top of that. So 41 hours that we're asking teams to be up is not comprehensible. But while we are talking about motorsport safety, Dave does a great job, and he's contracted with 3 different air ambulance services to have them throughout the race course stationed. Like Tonopah is struggling for any medical help in that area. Their hospital closed down a few years ago. So he'll have airships in the area that are stationed in case we have any medical issues, so we can get help out there as soon as we possibly can, as quickly as we can.
Perfect.
So I'll wrap up with this real quick. I just want to reiterate to the chase teams and the race teams, be responsible for yourself and your team. Because these pit captains are out there, they're volunteers. Put your fuel mat down. Quit putting your fuel jugs on the ground. We all know those are no-nos. Quit going, 90 miles an hour down the highways. We want to see all of you guys at the finish line. It's really important to us. It's important for the sport that we not have a black eye and have a big traffic accident or anything like that. Just be smart and understand that we're doing the Daytona 500 and the Indy 500 in the same day, and our pits move. What we're doing is extraordinary. It's also it's an honor that we get to do this stuff, right? I mean, it's a privilege. So don't abuse it, but be safe, have fun, and thank you, Donald, and thank you, Fish, for this amazing undertaking.
Yeah, and just to add one thing to that, for the safety aspect, honestly, every single race car should have a Starlink on it now. Like, there's no reason not to have a Starlink on your race car and every one of your chase trucks, because a lot of this area where you're going, there's no cell phone service out there, right? Or there's nobody around. You're in the middle of nowhere, And I mean, I don't get any money from selling Starlinks. I wish I did, but for the price they are now, like, there's no reason not to have one. Just put a Starlink on your car.
Yeah, I look at it as a tool, right? It's a cool tool to have available to us. And so take advantage of it. I think right now the minis are on sale for like $400 or something. And it's a great little unit.
Yeah.
And kind of reiterating some things, Keith, our mountaintop relay, just saw a message from him. It was hydrate. It's going to be warm. Make sure we're hydrating and drinking plenty of those fluids. Gatorade, electrolytes, that type of stuff, because it's going to be warm, and it's going to be a long test of everybody's endurance and physical abilities here.
Yeah, I highly recommend those IVs, and I don't care who you get them from. Julia and those guys do a great job. They really do work. It's amazing how well that works, and not only before the race but after. Doing them after for the recovery is critical too. So.
Especially the morning after the awards ceremony is usually when most people need them. Speaking of that, when is the awards ceremony? Is there one planned?
Oh yeah, so we've actually made it to Sunday now on the schedule, and there's an awards ceremony there at the Prump Nugget, and it is. Sorry, I'll have to wait for you to bring yours up, but I believe it's scheduled for 9 a.m.
I don't think I have that one. The one I have only has Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Okay, yeah, that's right. There's an event happening at the Nugget in the room that we needed, so we're working on scheduling that. But there is one scheduled for Sunday, and I believe it is at 9 a.m. Just haven't finalized the location yet.
Okay, so 9, in the morning on Sunday sometime, and the Nugget there will be an award ceremony.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, perfect.
And again, just want to thank Vora for their support and partnering with us on this event. Nevada Off-Road Association's Matt Giltner there, and all the people at Legacy, the staff, the crew, Medic Dave, all the volunteers. Fish, there's probably, right off the top of my head, I'm going to tell you there's close to 450 volunteers that it's going to take to man this thing, probably 150 checkpoints. It's a major undertaking. Without all those types of people, this would not be possible. So can't thank them enough. And again, just be safe. It is snake season, my favorite little animal. So watch out for those rattlesnakes. Tortoises will be out and about around the Amargosa area. So check underneath your vehicles and be safe. Media, be safe. Hydrate. That's big thing that's going to be with this one is making sure we're staying up on our fluids.
Yeah, definitely. That's good to see. And I mean, thanks to you guys for putting on this race too. I know this is not an easy race to put on. It costs a lot of money to put on this race. There's a lot of permits you have to pull. There's a lot of everything you got to man, like all the road crossings and everything. So it is a big undertaking, but the racers really do appreciate it. And I know you guys teamed up brought in Vora with this one to kind of team up, and I think that's cool. And people like to see that happening in the sport. And
Yeah,
the more we can do of that, I think it's better for all of us. And the scheduling is a good scheduling time. It's not really around anything too much. So thank you for scheduling it at a good time, not on the same weekend as the Baja 500 or something. So yeah.
yeah. There's not 4 weekends or 4 events in a row on the same weekend.
Yeah, that's not good for anybody. So thank you for doing a good job on all that. Yeah.
Well, again, thank you, Fish. Thank you, Jason, for all your input. Value your input and all that you bring to the table.
Cool. All right. Well, yeah, this show will be live, or it will be recorded. So if you just joined us, don't worry. Just give it a minute. As soon as it ends, you can go back, watch it from the beginning. You can see the whole course, and then stay tuned. What's the next day that everything's being released? You said the Monday, probably, right?
Yeah, the course map will come out on the Monday before the event, which is, I think, June 23rd, if I remember right. Drawing is today. So if you haven't signed up, again, get signed up for your chance to get those cooler bags. Those bags will be available for sale afterwards, after we figure out who all needs them. Working on the price on that for everybody, so we'll get that as well. But yeah, make sure you get signed up. Draws tonight, so let's get a good entry here going into this week.
All right. Well, yeah, thanks for coming on, Donald, and answering everyone's questions. They always appreciate that. Thanks for letting us show everybody the course, and I hope you guys have a good race. Good luck to everybody racing, and just be safe. And like we said, those chase crews, you're going to be up for a long time at this one, so make sure you take turns driving. So if you're sitting in the car and you see the driver start falling asleep, don't be scared to say something. Like, just knock them and say, "Hey, let me drive for a bit." You know what I mean? Just take turns driving. Just be smart out there. It's not worth crashing and killing everyone in the car because you tried to beat your car to the next pit. It's not worth it. So just
Yep.
be smart and be safe. Yeah,
Let's not be too proud, and let's ask for help.
exactly. Yeah.
There's nothing worse than an event than somebody not making it home from the event. That really, nobody wants an event like that. So let's all go have a good time, and let's all make sure we get home safely.
All right. Well, I think that'll wrap it up for us here. So we'll see you guys out in Nevada.
All right. Take care, Fish.
All right. See you guys.